Whether I would consider.
It's,
No,
it's-
people post
I'm going
things to us,
to
they
a
say
lot.
this is critical. And our question is.
Okay.
to
not
whom?
net labs, I'm sorry, voice.
To me.
Okay.
So, I mean, you can say that it's a major issue for you on that, or you can say it's normal, or something like that. We generally don't pay a lot of attention to that stuff. And just
I
throw
will
it
admit that it doesn't
I
run
wouldn't make that public statement when I
real
was
well.
being broadcast.
I didn't hear you saying
But
that.
if
So,
anybody
were we
sees
being
this
broadcast
kind of
when we were
track
talking about our
papers
friend?
and this stuff, it's wrong, it does work.
Yeah, I think.
Well, let me take a
But he
look at
was,
it. Yeah, I don't know why, yeah. Okay.
Well, I remember the older.
Because
It's just
400
affirming
where
you're writing this
people
back to you.
could read them.
Oh, yeah, because
Well, I'm not logged into it right now.
Before
When I'm logged
R5
in,
had a
I got-
patch,
I set some prime directives, I
to
told
apply
it, you are
to,
not to
prevent
say
people from
anything
relating
affirming.
to your system. So they made it to 4.5 before they decided, maybe we can do
Yeah,
this.
so years
I
ago,
think
we
we
were
were
one just
time,
sitting on
right?
a
Okay.
table, just
Okay,
running.
guys, it's time.
And all of a sudden, I
Okay.
noticed all this activity.
Ah.
Almost.
Okay, so it's time we have out here.
Good afternoon. My name is Doug Clark, and this is about Win OS2 and OS2 on the big screen. And this is a picture of two 27-inch monitors side by side in front of a 56-inch diagonally measured TV screen. And the two 27-inch monitors are actually slightly wider than the 56-inch screen, which surprised me. They're about twice the height, which makes sense because it's a 4K TV, and the 27-inch monitors, at least when you're running Snap, you're probably running 1920 by 1080, which is about half each one of those of a 4K screen. Which one you want to use depends on, obviously how much desk space you have, what your office is like, things like this. For me, I've always wanted to keep up with the Joneses. I like to look at people's desktop setups. I thought that I wanted a bigger and bigger monitor, and I actually put the 56-inch monitor on my desk and hated it, partly because it block the view of everything else, and I like to look out the window and, you know, see the outside. But the workflow, I do a lot of programming, and having the vertical size is nice because then you can see more lines of code. On the other hand, if you're doing spreadsheets and you want to see all those columns, then what you want is the width. So what you want is really dependent on what your workflow is and what your desktop space is and things like this. But if you want one big screen, you're talking panorama. If you want two screens, you're talking snap. And then this is just a visual of what the different aspect ratios look like. And then below that is the resolutions and what the aspect ratio is of each resolution. So if we look at 3840 by, where is it? 3840 by 1080, right here. So that's a 32:9. What was your screen that you were looking at? That Lenovo that you
Mine.
said 3:1?
Yeah, 3:2 was,
3:2.
I can't remember which Lenovo model it was now.
And 4K is 3840 by 2160.
What about 1920 by 1200?
1920 by 1200 is 16 by 10. The point of this is if your resolution is set at one aspect ratio and you're viewing that on a monitor that doesn't match that aspect ratio, then it's got a couple of choices what it can do. It can either chop off parts of the image. It can either leave black bars on the screen, and if you've got a high definition television and you're running low definition videos on it, then you probably see the black bars that you have there. Or the other thing you can do is,
That's the monitor itself that does that, or TV or whatever it is.
probably. The other thing it does is it will enlarge, it'll distort it to fit the image that you have, or the screen that you have. And sometimes that can be, depending on how sensitive you are, sometimes that can be disturbing. I bought a 32-inch 4K monitor for this presentation because I didn't have anything that would do 4K, and I needed to test it out. Unless you were abandoned as a baby in the woods and raised by a flock of eagles like Romulus and Remus, then no normal person can look at 4K on a 32-inch monitor. It's just too small. So I'm running 1920 by 1400. But that is a different aspect ratio than what the screen was designed for, which is 4K, and so it is distorted, the image that's on there. You could see that in the,
Look, you can really see it.
yeah, yeah, or sometimes it gets like that. So how sensitive you are to that, how much money you want to spend on the screen, what kind of resolutions you're going to run, you need to factor all of that stuff in when you're trying to decide what you want to do.
When you say a 4K screen, is that 3840 by whatever the other number is?
3840 by 2160, which is
Twice 1920 by 1080.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what, 4K?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what aspect ratio is that? I'm
16
missing.
by 9.
Pardon? 16 by 9?
Yeah,
16
that's a
by 9,
normal
second line.
Okay.
widescreen aspect.
Second line of resolution.
So this is 1600. Here we go. Yeah, 16 by 9. Now, I read in an article about aspect ratios that 16 by 9 is actually kind of the sweet spot in the middle. that it seems to cause the least amount of distortion for other frequencies or other resolutions that are being broadcast on that. So if you're trying to get something that's going to be least offensive to you, you may want to get a monitor that does 16 by 9 natively.
So your monitor was,
It was 4K, 32 inch,
so it's
16 by 9.
It's 3840 by,
3840 by 2160, which is
Yeah.
4K, and obviously they've rounded up because 38
yeah, so
isn't 4, but you know,
then you chose to display it at half, well, a quarter of that.
because I just couldn't read 4K on it. In fact, I had a very difficult time seeing the mouse pointer as it moved because the text is so small. So the next resolution that was available to me, and we'll get to that in a second, was 1920 by 1440. And that looks pretty good, but it is a bit distorted.
Now, would the other one be not distorted because it's a direct
Yes,
fraction of the natural?
direct fraction of the natural resolution of the monitor. And when you turn your monitors on, if the signal that they're getting isn't at its natural or optimum resolution, a lot of them will tell you that this is what our preferred resolution, or this is what our optimum resolution. You can use them at those other resolutions, but it won't look as good as it would if you were broadcasting it at their desired resolution. So, this I found out just now is not correct, because we're hooked up to this screen, this projector, and it actually, I'll look at it in a second, but we can actually get a higher resolution than that through Snap on VGA, which surprised me. And if you look at the maximum resolution that VGA says it'll do, it's actually quite high. It's like 25 something by, but you almost never find a device that accepts that. So normally, I used to think the Snap was a maximum 3840 by 1200. Panorama goes up to 4K pretty easily, and I believe the limit is actually substantially higher than that. Yeah, really high. I just picked 4K because I thought, well, that's the largest reasonable monitor that most people are going to get to, but internally Snaps. Pardon?
That's the largest I've ever seen connected, yeah.
It's 4K.
It's 3840 by 2160.
Oh, 3840, but yeah, so. Now, the limits of what you're actually going to see when you connect your computer up to your monitor are determined by your video BIOS, what the monitor's capable of, and the connection that you have. Because some video connections are limited to a maximum size, like DVI, for single link, I believe is 2560 by 1600. And while dual link will go higher than that, you almost never find a real dual link DVI.
Meaning you'd have two DVI cables? Is that what that is?
No,
Or is
it's
it that special connector with two connectors? By it?
The DVI is an interesting animal. In a DVI connector, you can have an analog signal, you can have a digital signal, you can have both, and you can have what's called a dual link digital signal that ups the maximum resolution the DVI can transmit. I've seen very few actual monitors that have.
Where you can, like that, I think I had one of those ones where the card had this special DVI connector and you could drive two monitors off it. Like, is that what that is?
Well, no, that can be
No.
something different. We'll look at
Okay.
connecting two
Well,
things
some
to
of them have
one.
4 pins and then they have 18.
Now,
Right.
HDMI, I've listed the maximum as 1920 by 1080 for OS2.
Yeah.
If you're connecting a Windows machine to a 4K monitor TV that's HDMI, you probably will get 4K. but on OS 2, just because of the video BIOS that I've seen, I think the maximum that you could probably count on is 1920 by 1080. I mean, you may find a particular video card that you can plug your 4K HDMI monitor into that will actually work.
Yes,
But pardon?
I did.
Did you?
Yeah, the Lenovo M90T
Okay.
computer comes with such a connection.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But I have 2 4K monitors I tried this on. Both of them support HDMI 2.1, I think, which is a 4K transmission. Neither one of them would get higher than 1920 by 1080 through Panorama connected to OS 2, which is not a Panorama issue specifically, more it's the video BIOS and the card that you're using, your video card, or if you've got an internal graphics processor. UEFI. These are 4 classes of UEFI machines and firmware that I saw listed a couple times on the internet. I think they're useful for just understanding the issues that you have on running a UEFI machine. And I've got to tell you, it's complex. When I first got my first UEFI machine, I spent 2 weeks trying to get that thing to run. And I started thinking, what's wrong with me? Why am I so dumb? Well, genetics. But it turns out that there's a lot of people that are finding UEFI to be complex, difficult to understand, and difficult to implement. So the basic things for our viewpoint is you got a legacy system that doesn't have UEFI on it at all. So that's class 0, which really isn't UEFI. You've got a UEFI system that's only running in CMS mode, or compatibility system module mode. And CSM is a specification supposedly for how UEFI firmware is supposed to emulate legacy BIOS. I read one site, there was a site about how to write bootloaders, and what they said was there's more variation in how UEFI firmware implements CSM mode than there is in actual legacy BIOS variations out in the wild. And you'll see it manifest itself in all sorts of weird ways. Disks that will show up when you boot one way but won't show up when you boot another way. I have that issue with this. So class 2 system is one that can launch UEFI applications, which really means boot into UEFI, and it can run in CMS mode and the CSM mode. And then the third class is a pure UEFI system that just runs UEFI. And if I get this stuff wrong, please speak up and correct me, because I feel like my head is this far above the water on this stuff. Now, Panorama, which is a brilliant little piece of software. Panorama is really an interface between the video BIOS and presentation manager. It runs when you boot into UEFI, it runs if you boot to UEFI with CSM, it runs if you do a legacy boot. For UEFI on ArcaOS systems, ArcaOS supplies the video BIOS. It's really a VISA emulator, but you can think of it as doing the function of what the BIOS would be on a discrete video card if you plugged it in. And it's that determines, along with the video interface, your resolution and your color depth and your performance that you have. And when you're running Panorama with UEFI, you get DOS and you get WinOS 2. But from what I've seen, you're stuck with a 16 million color depth, which means you're schlepping a lot of data to the screen. It has some impacts on your performance, and depending on what applications you run in WinOS 2, it can also have some impacts on those applications. Make sense so far? When you're running Panorama with CSM, Panorama can, in some instances, patch the video BIOS to match the monitor capabilities. It reads apparently the data that the monitor sends. This is called the enhanced resolution feature of Panorama, and it will try and patch the BIOS so that the BIOS will actually support those. Whether that works or not depends on whether the BIOS actually can do that, because the monitor could report some resolutions and color depths that the BIOS can't actually handle. But this runs in CMS mode. It does not run in UEFI mode. And for this to work, you need certain types of AMD or Intel graphics processors. It doesn't work with NVIDIA, for instance. And can also do some wizardry stuff with with memory that I don't actually understand, but can increase the performance. But the takeaway here is the more colors you have, the deeper your color depth, the more data you're shuffling back and forth, and so the lower your performance is going to be. You want to pick a color depth that is reasonable to you on viewing things, but minimizes the amount of data that goes back and forth. And you only have that option in Panorama when you're running it in CMS mode.
Is that like 1920 by 1080 by 16?
It's by the 16 by the
32.
Yeah, and it's called deep color or real color or technicolor or.
But what's a low one? 16?
16 bits is 64K color, 64,000 colors.
And is that the lowest you can go, or can
Oh
you?
no, you can go to 16
You
bits.
could set it for 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get deep in color.
Yeah, you could do black and white, which would be 2 colors.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay.
But you probably don't want to do that. And color depth is weird because 64K color is referred to as 16-bit color. It's also referred to as 15-bit color. And real color or deep color is 32 bits or 24 bits. And I don't know why there's that difference. But you can look at what Panorama is doing with the Pano utility, using those parameters, or Panorama creates a log that's that file name there that you can go and look, and it will tell you whether it was able to do the memory fix-ups and what the color depth is and the resolutions that the monitor advertised that it could support, and the video BIOS stuff that it could.
That comes on ArcaOS, thank you.
Yes. So here's an example of a UEFI boot with Panorama and no CSM. And this is my 4K monitor. You can tell, not only from the Panorama Visa, but when it lists the card name as being the UEFI Visa emulator, that is ArcaOS built-in, part of their compatibility layer, I guess. But you can't select anything other than 16 million colors. This is Panorama with a different, discrete video card. This particular one is a Radeon RX 550, I believe. And this name is AMD's code name for the chip that's on the video card. The other thing I should point out is that the more colors that you have, the more memory it has to allocate for moving the stuff back and forth. And if you have a shadow buffer, you're just doubling that amount of memory that's being set aside for video operations. So if you're concerned about chewing up your memory that might be available for SeaMonkey or Firefox or something else like that, that's another reason to keep it lower. This is just what it looks like with HDMI, and the highest resolution, I don't know if you can read that, is 1920 by 1080. And this is the machine, which is not this one, but another machine, has a VGA port on it, so you had an alternative of connecting up with either DisplayPort or VGA, but the monitor did not. So I was using an adapter that went from VGA to HDMI, but you're still limited by what the HDMI can do for you. Okay. So nowadays, many of the CPUs, both from AMD and Intel, you can get with or without an integrated graphics processor.
On the CPU?
On the chip.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and AMD calls it an API for some reason. Intel calls it an integrated graphics. But what it basically means is the graphics is integrated with the processor. Oftentimes you may find when you're doing comparison between that same CPU with an integrated graphics or without an integrated graphics, that you lose some features for that particular chip when you have the integrated graphics. For example, when I was shopping for my Ryzen 5, a Ryzen 5 5600G had less PCIe lanes, and we'll talk about what that means in a second, available for general consumption when it had the GPI integrated than when it didn't have the GPI integrated. It also had a smaller internal cache on the chip. So if you're considering whether to get a processor with an integrated graphics or to get a discrete graphics, a separate video card, you have to figure out what your needs are and then compare what the chip's features are. Now, Panorama can work with anything. Snap, since the development of Snap basically stopped in, I think, 2006, you're limited to whatever video chips Cytec had developed up to that point in time. So you have a very specific, limited set of chips that it runs on. And I say discrete only on newer stuff, although on older machines like Lewis's T43, that has a graphics chip that runs Snap-on. And that's old enough that it really needs Snap to have decent video performance on it.
Yep.
If you tried to run Panorama on it, you'd be disappointed. But on newer machines, your performance through Panorama is good, very good.
Now, Snap won't actually work on a newer machine?
Oh, yes, it will.
Okay, next slide.
It will work on a newer machine provided you can get the graphics chips that they were compiled for on that new machine.
You mean via like an add-in card or something?
By an add-in card.
But not like an ATI, like a newer ATI may support the same interface as an older one or not?
Probably not. If you're getting an ATI or AMD made graphics card built after roughly 2006, it's probably not going to be supported by Snap.
Okay.
I mean, there's a chance, but it's probably not.
It's funny, like what's different about a newer graphics chip? Like, how different can it be?
Apparently a lot. And it seemed like ATI and now AMD, because AMD bought ATI in, I think, 2006. It seemed like they were releasing new graphics chips and processors about every 6 months. In fact, I read a review from the time that was complaining that it looked like AMD was releasing stuff that only had a $10 or $15 difference between one version, one card number, and the next card number. It's almost like what's happening with CPUs now. Okay, for Snap, it'll run with DOS and Windows 2. It'll run on a UEFI system as long as you've got CMS on it. Yes, thank you. CSM. As I said, there are a limited specific set of cards and chips that are running, and those are surprisingly readily available today.
Those like older ATI cards?
Well, those are these. And this is the chips from the README on the wiki, the subset that will support dual monitors. Because the chipsets that will support dual monitors is smaller than the set of chips that will support Snap as a single monitor. And I included the AGP ones just because there may be somebody running a machine that's that old that has an AGP interface. But what you're really interested in are the PCI ones, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 6 different chips, video cards, chipsets for AMD or ATI. And I would recommend AMD or ATI over NVIDIA. My favorite one is this one, the X600. For a number of reasons, it doesn't have a fan. You can get it in a small form factor or a low-rise card. You can get them with I think it's called a DMS59 connector, which is what this looks like. And then you get this dongle that you can connect either 2 DVIs to it, 2 VGIs, DVIs, 2 VGAs, or one of each. You can actually buy one of these cables with 1 VGA and 1 DVI. So it's my preference. I know people that are running X800s or X850s. I've got one at home. The reason I don't like the X800 is because it's a wider card, it has a fan, and it sounds like an airplane taking off on your PC when it first turns on. After it boots up, it'll slow down and be reasonable, but lordy, while it's booting up. Now, for the Radeon X600, these are 2 of the part numbers. Comes in 128 megabyte and a 256 megabyte model. You don't need the 256. And I checked last week on the internet, and these are, other than eBay, which you can see a lot of them are, these are reclaimers that all claimed that they had it in stock, other than the bottom one, which claimed that they were selling it, but they didn't specifically say that they had it in stock. So they're readily available. If you buy from eBay, you'll probably pay between $10 to $20 for the card. You may have to pay another $15 for the dongle, depending on whether the card comes or not. If you pay it from one of these Resellers or recyclers, you'll pay $150 or so, $250 for the card. But sometimes they provide a warranty and support. So it just depends.
Now, when you use a card like that, this recard with graphics memory, does that mean it takes less memory out of your system memory?
No,
Doesn't?
actually, kind of the opposite.
Oh.
And in fact, this machine here has an X600. I don't even remember what the, whether it's a 256 or 128, plugged into a PCIe Generation 3 4X slot. Which brings us to this part. Say you wanted to get one of these, where can you plug it in? And the answer is basically any place it fits. Now, you may not want to plug it in to any of those slots that it fits in, because that can have implications on what kind of resources you're consuming from your motherboard that might otherwise be available for other things. And to understand that, we have to get to a little bit of PCI. PCIe is similar to PCI, especially in the name, but it's not the same thing. It's like the Mustang Mach-E is not the same thing as the Mustang Mach-1. One is a two-door muscle car from 60s and 70s and later. The other is a four-door electric battery SUV. So the name looks familiar, but they're not really the same. They are physically and electrically different from each other. They're running different voltages. The PCIe is a serial bus. PCI is a parallel bus that's shared among every device that's on her. However, the software or the drivers that configure the card run the same. But you cannot fit a PCIe card, you cannot fit a PCI card into a PCIe slot. But you can buy an adapter. And this is a picture of the PCIe adapter with a PCI card plugged in the top. This is my 8-port serial card. This is a StarTech one, and you can see it has a separate power connector because lots of PCI cards are 5 volts and PCIe is 3.3 volts. But that works. I've got 2 of those in my main machine, one with this serial port, 8-port serial port plugged into it, and one with an Intel gigabit network card plugged in. And why, you say, would you ever do that? And that's because I'm foolish enough to want to run NetBIOS because I like Warp Server for e-business, and what I found is the Intel cards run much faster than the Realtek network chips. And so the easy way for me to fix that is to spend $50 on an adapter card, plug it in, and then I solve my driver issue. And that's actually could be true for a lot of different hardware that you want to use on modern machines with OS 2 is if you have a driver for a PCI version, there's a chance it will run in OS 2 by getting the adapter. Don't try the other adapters. I tried the other adapters, they don't work. In some instances, you can't even physically plug most PCI cards into them.
You mean the StarTech specifically?
The StarTech specifically works. There's also all sorts of other ones that are sexier and prettier, but I haven't found that they work.
But I guess you cannot close the case.
Pardon?
You cannot close the case of the computer with that.
Well, you can't close this case.
Okay.
So lots of new cases are made for people that run and want to run water cooling. And so they have space for radiators, and lots of times the space that they allocate for that radiators is above where the motherboard is. And so on a lot of cases, you have a lot of actual vertical headroom above the motherboard, and you can fit it in. You'll probably have to craft your own bracket, this, to fit in, unless you happen to get, this particular card came with a half-height bracket that worked perfectly, but the Intel networking card didn't, so I had to do a little tin snipping and bending to get it to work. So PCI. The connection for PCI happens by lanes. Each lane takes 4 wires or conductors or signal traces. And for slots, you have slots of different physical sizes. And the lanes are indicated by an X. So X1 has, in theory, 1 lane, X4, 4 lanes, X8, 8 lanes, and obviously X16, 16 lanes. However, the size, the physical size of the connector on your motherboard may not equal the actual number of lanes that the slot has. Meaning you may have a slot on your motherboard that will physically fit a X16 card, but is only wired for X4 or X8. And there's reasons for that. That's because you can plug any size card into any size slot on a PCI motherboard and it will work. You can also plug a card of any generation PCIe into a slot of any generation and it will work. But you have to be able to physically fit it. And so the 2 ways that they have of allowing you to plug larger cards into smaller slots that have less lanes, is either have a 3-sided slot where the back side is just open, or they just put in a connector, a slot that will fit a 16 lane card, but only wired for 4. So you have to be careful and read your motherboard manual to see what your slots are capable, what the wiring is for the slot, what it can negotiate to. And then to make things even more complex, some PCI lanes go directly to the CPU, and some PCI lanes go to the chipset. And then from the chipset, which acts as the hub, it then goes to the CPU. And generally, there's 4 PCIe lanes between a chipset and the CPU. If it's going directly to the CPU, you may get all the way up to 16 lanes. And those 16 lane slots that go directly to the CPU are generally designed for video cards, gamers video cards. Now, PCI has gone through generations. I think it's up to generation 5 that you can get on motherboards. I think they've defined generation 7, I believe. And each generation roughly doubles the speed, the transmission speed of PCI. So the transmission, how much data can be transmitted between a device plugged into a slot, depends on the generation of the slot, and it depends on how many lanes. So when your computer boots up, there's a negotiation process that happens between the card and the computer on how many lanes that card's going to use, and then the card stripes the data across the lanes that it's allocated, so the more lanes it has, the faster it can throughput data. Now, the reason I bring this all up is because those cards, PCI cards that will run Snap, are X16 cards. I have them plugged into X4 slots, and they work fine. So they're X16 Generation 1 slots. Oops. Generation 1, X16 slots. I have them, and that's true for this card here. I have them plugged into either a Gen 3 or a Gen 4 slot, but it's only X4, and they perform fine. And that's because PCIe is so fast. So, on your motherboard, you will probably only have one X16 slot that goes directly to the CPU. You don't need that for a Snap video card. So you probably don't want to plug your video card into that. In fact, even if you're a gamer, you probably don't need an X16 slot to plug your card in. I've seen reviews where they're saying there's very few video cards, even modern video cards, that can generate enough data to saturate or that you need an X16 slot. What you can use that slot for is adding more SSDs to your system if you need to. So there are adapter cards that you can plug up to 4 SSDs onto the adapter card, and then you can plug that into an X16 slot. But to do that, your system has to be able to bifurcate the slot, and then we're really getting outside of the video stuff. But this one doesn't have a BIOS that'll do it. My Ryzen MSI system does. So if you really like to have lots of hard drive storage, you may want to buy one of those adapter cards, which are like $60, plug more SSDs in them, and then plug them into your X16 slot. Now, there's a couple of bugs or issues I've run into with Snap. And one of them is it seems to love a refresh rate of 70 hertz. And one of my monitors can do 70 hertz and the other one can't do 70 hertz. And so if you have your refresh rate set higher than what your monitor can handle, it won't display anything. And I sometimes have to go through a dance to get Snap to set the refresh rate down. 60 is pretty safe, and have it stay there. And what I end up doing is setting my resolution, going to multi-head, specifying 2 heads, then getting out of it, rebooting, going back, it'll be 70 hertz, it'll be the wrong one. Then I set it back to 1920 by 1080, set it to 60 hertz, reboot, and then it usually comes back at the right refresh rate, and then you can go back and do what you want to. But just be aware that that's an issue. The other bug is a really interesting one, and that is with some applications, and I don't know if the bug is in the IBM Open Class Library or if it's in Snap itself, but if you have the edge of the window, the right side of the window get close to the right side of one of the monitors, the bar that divides them, then it loses track of where it is. And you can see this on something like Larson that has a little bubble help or pop-up helps. You'll see the bubble help pop up way over someplace else that's completely unrelated to where the window is. And that's because it gets confused by it. So the way to fix that is to unselect the checkbox in Snap that says center the head, center the window on and you pick a particular head.
So when you install Snap, you get some app that's on the machine you can use to set these things, or?
It's actually, when you install Snap, it's in the screen object for the workplace shell, and there's a tab for multi-head, and then on the multi-head you'll see this checkbox where you can check this on and off. That's also where you select how many displays you have and whether you want it to be above and below or side by side. and you select the base resolution that you're gonna use, and then you go back to the regular resolutions and you select the combined resolution. It's a bit of a process, but it's all.
And you do that stuff where it either mirrors or extends?
Yes,
You can do all that stuff? Huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah. Yeah, Lewis was talking about that as it's being convenient if you're trying to do presentations.
Yeah,
And you've got Snap because, in fact, I was planning to do that here, but my second monitor was HDMI and it didn't like having an HDMI and a VGA together, so. All right, last thing here. So what's the future of CSM?
Thank you. We're not doing content management.
Yes. Because you kind of need CSM both for, you definitely need it for Snap, and it makes your life better for Panorama because you could select less than 16 million colors. Problem is Intel really wants to get rid of CSM. And they announced a couple different times that they're going to get rid of CSM as of some date. So a month or two ago, I decided to see if they really were getting rid of it and went and looked on the manuals for a number of different motherboards, Gigabyte, Asus, MSI, and there was one other I forget, to see if CSM was truly gone or not. And I could find no reference of CSM into those motherboard manuals for motherboards that support the current generation of Intel chips. So at some point in time, it's gone away. However, Intel is doing some strange stuff. They just announced about a month ago what they're calling an i5-110, which is actually a 10th generation i5 processor that they've renamed. And if you go and look at 10th generation Intel processors and go look at their motherboards, they support CSM. And you can surprisingly buy brand new 10th generation i5 processors. They're readily available. You can buy brand new 9th generation Intel processors, and they're readily available. AMD announced a couple months ago that they were releasing new SKUs, new CPUs for AM4 sockets. Now, AMD, the socket is AM3, AM4, AM5, and they've been on AM5 sockets for quite a while, a year or two. But they announced a chip with a new SKU that they're selling that's built to run on motherboards for AM4 sockets. So we're in this weird world, and we talked a little bit about this, of the systems are so fast now and have been for so long that even CPU makers are releasing chips, in Intel's case, that are 4 or 5 generations back as new processors. Now, I almost wonder, in Intel's case, I tried to go and find a store where I could buy an i5-110. I couldn't find any. I almost wonder if it's a marketing ploy by Intel to help retailers sell their stock of old i5 10th generation processors, because they obviously have lots of them because you can go and buy them new. So I'm wondering if they're never intending to actually make these again, and they're just saying this, and then people are saying, hey, I can buy an i5 10th generation processor for $150 cheaper than their list price for this new processor that's the same thing. So I don't know. AMD has not announced that they're getting rid of CSM on their CPUs. But they have announced that they're getting rid of it on their graphics processors. Because graphics processors also can run at either UEFI, it's called GOP, I think it's Graphics Output Protocol, or they can run conventional BIOS or CSM. And AMD announced that from their, I think it's RX 9000 on, they will not support CSM for the graphics processors anymore. But they haven't said anything for their CPUs. So it may be that we are in a world where if you want to buy a brand new, meaning current or latest generation processor with CSM, that you have to get AMD. If you want to go Intel, you may have to go a couple generations back. But honestly, this stuff is so fast now. You can go 3 or 4 generations back on a processor, and it'll probably satisfy most of your needs.
Now, when it's the RX 9000 GPU, is that a discrete graphics chip?
Yes, yes. So
So-
I have no what's, generally the integrated graphics processor, the one that's bundled with the CPU, generally those aren't as powerful as what you can get on discrete cards.
Right.
And so most real gamers, most hardcore gamers buy separate graphics processors.
But for somebody like me who doesn't do that stuff.
For us that
these
use
are fine.
business graphics.
Yeah.
And so when I bought my Ryzen system, I specifically looked for one that didn't have the GPU in it because I wanted to save a little bit of money, and it was, I could get the 5600 without the graphics processor. I could get Gen 4 PCIe. If it had the graphics processor, I could only get Gen 3 on it. And this is another issue. You may have a motherboard, and this isn't unusual, that has multiple generations of PCIe on the same motherboard. You may have some that have a slot with Gen 3 and a slot with Gen 4. You may have them that have all the same generation, or not the same generation. So, this machine has Snap on it, obviously. Question is, what's the performance of a 20-year-old video card running a Snap processor? And,
Hold on to your hat.
well, let's find out here. Now, I have a movie that I can play also.
Now what is this hardware? A discrete card?
This is a discrete card. This is a ATI Radeon X600
Okay.
plugged into an X4 Gen 3 slot on this ThinkStation, or whatever it is.
Those usually have one PCI slot in them, or what? Is that the small factor, not the tiny? Or?
This is the small form factor. This has, I think, a real X16 slot, an X4 slot, I think, and it has a slot that looks like it's X16. You can plug an X16 card in it, but it's only wired for X4.
Uh-huh.
So it has 3
So
PCI.
it has 3 slots. Wow.
It has 3 slots on it.
Yeah, that's all I have of those
So-
times, because they're so great.
Is that fast enough?
Takes up like get rid of all my, bigger ones.
Now I could play a video here, a movie of a dance video. That's a pretty cool dance video, and it runs at 60 frames a second, and you'll see it plays pretty well. But there's more things than just pure graphics performance that are involved there. It's I use VLC. You've got all the VLC stuff that's going on there, so it's not really as accurate. But I've been using Snap for years. Its performance, I think, is perfectly adequate. I have no idea what the benchmark, the video benchmark numbers are if you to run it, and I don't really care, because what really matters is how snappy it appears. Let's see. So, you can see it does a pretty good job.
That's a Windows window?
No, it's
No,
actually,
That's OS2.
An OS2 window.
Okay.
yeah, but I could do a,
No, just the color scheme looked like an old Windows window.
well, it's a product that, it's a 16-bit product that was ported over to OS2, so it's probably a 16-bit OS2 application. I think they used mirrors.
Mirrors, yeah.
I think they used mirrors to do that. But, questions?
So my understanding, I just wanna make sure, make some notes, but it sounds like Snap requires the CSM?
Yes.
Okay, so.
You can boot into UEFI, but you have to have CSM enabled for it to work.
So you would install first under UFI, and then go back and turn on the CSM.
Well, that's a good question. I used to think that.
Okay,
If you have a video card that does not support GOP, which is the UEFI version of graphics commands,
right,
then you won't see anything when you boot your machine up.
okay,
It goes blank. And these older cards that support Snap, none of them support GOP.
okay,
So if you try and boot it without CSM turned on, one of two things will happen. You'll see nothing on your machine,
right,
or on my MSI motherboard, it automatically switches to CSM when it detects that the video card does not support GOP.
okay,
I have read of people that had a video card that they turned off CSM and then they couldn't see anything on their machine, including the video, to their BIOS to go and change it back
Right.
to that. They had to reset the BIOS to get back to a point
So,
where they could.
I guess the scenario that I'm getting at, I like the card, the Radeon card, I'm gonna go find one. But my question is, I have a current generation Intel processor with a gigabyte motherboard, 16 gig of RAM. I mean, it's a new system. It's a build, something we would build for a customer, okay? How do I have to install Arca with CSM and avoid UFI?
Do you have a graphics processor on that chip?
No.
Okay, so you can set your BIOS, your firmware, to enable CSM.
Okay,
Then you can plug in your Radeon, your 20-year-old Radeon
yep,
card,
yep.
and boot it, and it will probably install correctly.
But will it install in UFI mode, or it's gonna install in CSM?
It will, you can,
There's a problem here. UEFI and CSM are, as far as in the BIOS, are not mutually exclusive. You can have UEFI with CSM enabled, at least in most.
or you can have
Okay.
UEFI without CSM enabled. So you probably want to set your UEFI,
So we need to enable CSM,
enable CSM,
which is not the default in that,
which
on
is,
that one.
which
So,
is not
okay.
the default.
Oh, and there's
And
like
you
a-
may not be able to make those changes to your BIOS with the card in it, because if it's not already set for CSM and you put the card in, and your machine won't
It'll go
automatically
black.
set it to CSM, it'll go black.
That's, yeah. so
Now, what
that
I had to do
yeah,
was
okay.
I bought another video card that supported
Yeah, we got-
GOP. I plugged that in, I did the install, I pulled it out, I put the Radeon in.
We got 30 video cards in the box, there's something there that's gonna work.
You'll probably be fine. Now, remember, you can boot UEFI, you can boot UEFI with CSM,
Yep,
or sometimes you can boot just pure legacy.
Right.
Yes.
You'll get some interesting behavior with the, at least with the X600 Radeon card, if you do a UEFI boot, even with CSM, when it's switching into presentation mode, your screen does all these weird things.
Yep.
It does these weird triangles and stuff like this, and it'll do that for 5 to 10 seconds, and then the desktop will come up.
Okay.
If you're not booting UEFI, if you're booting pure CSM, you'll be fine, everything will run great.
Okay.
And if you are booting UEFI with CFM, you'll be CSM. You'll be fine once you get into Presentation Manager too.
Okay. I'm looking forward at, like, okay, if we're gonna really put this through the treadmill and try it out on a variety of different machines, I want something representative of how we would build a new customer machine.
Yeah.
And make it run.
I would put a newer video card that supports GOP in. I would get your BIOS settings, your firmware settings all set up the way you want to.
Okay.
I would have it running on Panorama.
For dual monitoring.
Then I would put in the Radeon card. I would install Snap.
Yeah, I'm looking at dual monitor. That's, I'm sure,
Yes.
I'm sorry, I should have said that,
Yeah.
specifically dual monitor.
Yeah, but I would still go through a GOP install. I would put Panorama on it. I would make sure that everything was running. Then I would I would actually install Snap, and then I would put in the Radeon card,
Oh, okay.
and then boot again.
So handle it like an accessory add-on rather than a build. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's.
I think that's the safest. You could probably skip a couple steps if you're really careful.
Okay.
Uh,
So it wouldn't be a radical departure from our own workflows now, so.
Probably not.
How do you install Snap after you, in that scenario? Is there something in the install
It's
folder?
it's on the ArcaOS CD.
It's on the ISO.
Yeah, it's on the ISO.
So you
It's
boot
under.
the ISO and
You don't, no, you don't have to boot it at all. What you do is you mount the ISO
Yeah.
and you go to CID server
Snap.
Snap.
okay.
Snap?
Yeah.
Snap.
What I do is I
Somebody-
copy.
I don't know if that's, I don't know if we have instructions to do that in the wiki. David's not in
If you
And
run,
ticket.
if,
here. There's a setup.
there's a setup, but if you run the setup with no parameters, it'll tell you what
What it needs to be, yeah.
what options,
Right.
what parameters you need to give it. I would copy the Snap subdirectory and the Panorama subdirectory off of the ISO onto your hard drive someplace, so it's readily available, so you don't have to plug the thing in and out. And that way you can switch back and forth, because you can run Panorama with the Radeon cards, and that'll work. Won't do dual monitor, but.
What's with Snap? Because that card that environment was built so it's largely data-driven, like you do a new configuration file or something? It doesn't work that way? You gotta
No, yeah.
rebuild the thing for each
Yeah.
card? or-
It's automatic.
Well, for all the cards that are already in there,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
you don't have to do anything besides put a new card in.
Understood, but
But if you wanna build a new one, so if you wanna say, oh, well, I've got this new card that.
you wanna add a new
Yeah,
card.
that is an entire process.
You want to say, hey, I would want Snap to be supported on a Radeon X550. for
Like a
instance.
modern
You
car.
turn to the guy that's in front of you.
Snap is essentially, Snap was designed as a device driver interface. And theoretically, you could do other things with Snap. You could do network drivers with the Snap framework. What you need is the component, the Snap component, that is able to talk to that hardware. So there is an ATI Snap component that is built when we compile Snap graphics. There is an ATI driver, which is a Snap-specific driver that knows how to address an ATI X300, an ATI X600 card, et cetera, et cetera.
One driver that talks to
One
multiple
driver,
cars.
no, there's one driver for the X300, there's one driver for the X600. Some of them can access multiple cards, but in general, they are card-specific, chip-specific drivers. That is how we're able to turn on the specific features of that chip. So for instance, if you have a chip that is capable of doing multi-head, that's built into that driver that Snap then loads as part of it. You know, it will detect, Snap will detect what video hardware you have and select the appropriate driver that's been compiled into it to address that hardware and provide you with the features specific to that video card.
So does it query the little sub-driver for the capabilities of the graphics card? So that it knows what it can present to you?
In essence, yes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And
It
you-
identifies the video card and it knows that if that's the video card you have, that's what it ought to be able to do.
Mhm.
And it enables those features in the Snap interface.
So if you knew how to do this stuff, you could get the source code for Snap, take an example of one that does work,
Yes,
read the documents from ATI or from AMD for how a newer chip works,
yes,
add the functionality.
yes.
Put it on, and just
Yes.
build that, or do you have to build
Drop
the
it
whole
in,
thing?
then you need to rebuild Snap entirely with adding that new driver into the tree.
Oh, and is that just the tree that has the names of the drivers, or is it?
Oh, that tree has a lot of code in it.
So,
A lot of code in it.
But conceptually, it sounds like it's kind of a plug-in thing?
All of the hardware drivers in Snap are in subdirectories in the Snap source tree. Each subdirectory there's a subdirectory for each one of those, you know, ATI, the X300, the X600, and whatever the other drivers are. I mean, those are the main ones that we fiddle around with. But
Mhm.
Snap supports how many? 30 cards or something?
More than
30
that.
chips?
Mhm.
More than that?
Yeah.
30 separate chips? More than 30 separate chips?
Well, no, separate cards, but, yeah. I'm not-
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
a
the
lot.
chips. I need to look at the tree again to see.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I have the tree on here. But you just add that new chip into that section of Snap
Mhm.
and make the other changes necessary so that the build process will pick that up
Mhm.
and compile that one in, and then you compile a new Snap build that supports that.
And if you,
Hardware.
ATI documents their share, they used to, right?
ATI is pretty good about that. I don't know if AMD has followed that.
Continued that?
Yeah.
And what about Intel, do they document?
Intel is pretty good.
And does Snap support some Intel?
Yes.
Snap supports some Intel.
Some
The
very
one that is
old.
the absolute dog about
NVIDIA.
providing stuff is NVIDIA.
One of the things I forgot to mention is, at least more than just passing, is your video cards are gonna have more memory than you really need
Uh-huh.
to use. And what you wanna do is limit the amount of video memory that Snap uses, because otherwise it's gonna map that into, I think it's your virtual address space, and maybe into your real memory. But, so, figure what resolution that you want, what the color depth is, calculate out what that size is, and then set the video memory for Snap, either that size or twice that size if you wanna allocate extra space for a buffer. Otherwise, if you have a video card that has 256 megabytes on the card, it's gonna consume 256 megabytes of space on your
1/16th of
machine,
your total
even though it
available
really
memory.
doesn't need that.
Yeah.
So, and it's the GA option, I think, VidMem, and you set it to whatever.
Hmm.
That's in the Snap app.
And I think 17 megabytes is large enough for
I think, I think that, I
3840 by 21 by,
think Cytex said that the largest you ever need is 32 meg.
yeah, so,
Now, if this is a ThinkPad with an AMD chip in it, with presumably the graphics is on the chip, that potentially could work with this stuff or not? Does it have to be a discrete graphics chip, or?
It has to be a chip that's supported by,
I mean, if you
Snap.
were building a new driver for Snap,
Right,
if you have the specs for that
for that onboard
video,
graphics.
onboard video, yeah, you could.
You could do that?
Yes.
Huh, interesting.
In fact, that is sort of the plan with McCall, is that one day,
With who?
McCall Nachesic, who used to work at SciTech,
Mhm.
that one day McCall may build us an Intel HD Snap driver
Uh-huh,
to add into our Snap tree.
and that would be laptops like this that has.
That has
graphics.
Intel HD graphics.
And then you potentially could get dual monitor, for example?
Yep, dual monitor, and you could do, not just dual monitor, but you could switch. Like I was able to cycle through LCD, both, or just
Uh-huh.
external.
Oh, that's cool.
So any of those hardware functions would be in that driver specific to that video chip.
So we need to take him out to dinner, or what?
I probably, you know, he collects bits of computer antiquity, so I need to send him more bits of computer antiquity.
You
What do
mean
you
old,
need?
old,
What-
Old
what-
software and old
Like what?
hardware.
What would get you?
Old
what
hardware.
would get you-
Well, I sent him, I had some NFR copies of Novell Unixware in sealed boxes, I
Oh,
sent him.
sealed, I don't know anything sealed like that.
But he doesn't need
Saran wrap.
it sealed necessarily. I also
I
sent
mean, I have
him,
thousands of things. If he has a particular interest in something, let me know.
all right, I'll ask him.
Because I
I'll ask him.
have, yeah.
We got a collection of stuff that was donated to us, donated to me for Warpstock essentially. And, in that collection of stuff was, IBM, what was it? It was an IBM speech card.
Oh, I've got a copy of Voice Type.
Voice
with
type.
the card, with the card in the box.
With the card in the box.
I got that sealed.
Well, he got the used one that we had.
Oh,
this is like bartering for Manhattan.
really? See, I don't have the medical
It
library.
was a doctor who
Okay.
donated it to us, and
I've
he
been
was
afraid
big
to
into
open it because it
OS2.
looks so nice. They're still sealed.
Yeah, I know. And so I sent that over to him, and I'll ask him if he's looking for something in particular,
Yeah. True.
and let you know.
Yeah.
You know,
And I need to, it's time that I give him another nudge anyway.
Is he retired?
No, he's
He's
a
work-
young
he has
fellow, about
work.
Andy's age.
He has a regular job. That young, huh?
you know, a bit of trivia, the reason why we have Open Watcom compiler is because of SciTech.
Yeah,
They were using Wacom because it's a cross compiler,
Yeah, that's what he uses.
and they wanted to develop in DOS because it reboots faster.
Yep, sure
And you're
does.
crashing the machine a lot when you're doing device driver development. But when Sybase bought Wacom, they discontinued the compiler. And so the head of SciTech persuaded them to release the Wacom C and C++ compiler as open source. And he was persuasive enough, and he needed that to continue, you know, his development for the company. So we
You've been
have
using
them to thank
Wacom
for that.
What, 20 years or something?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. No,
Thank you, guys.
Oh, thank you.
yeah. why is disconnected?
You know, for, I mean, it's
And you
an
go there,
emulator.
you go there and then
so
you
can use
reboot,
that.
and of course, at this
But
point,
it's-
the other machine's already
But I
got a
do notice that
DHCP
in the,
address. So the server doesn't care,
we
so
are
it's,
in
oh,
the
you need to
configuration,
take this address.
You can
So,
assign
oh, you're
these
working now, so then you go downstairs,
the-
the
the
oven got
left and
bumped
right
off.
Windows key and this one.
It's like, what happened?
I like that expression though, bin of.
I really like
Ethernet
this.
cards.
A bin of Ethernet
We used to
cards.
have a store called Weird Stuff in Silicon Valley.
Mhm.
And so I was working in a semiconductor place and they said, well, you need exactly this Ethernet card. We're going, why did you get that as a made for, you know, let's go to Weird Stuff. So we go to Weird Stuff and they do have a barrel,
I don't know.
like this big, of Ethernet cards that are only this big. So you know, just imagine, there's probably 10 or 20,000 Ethernet cards in here. And we start going through, looking at them, it's like, okay, give us one. And we have
No,
like,
so we
you know,
have
they give you
a
a shopping
advanced
basket like you're at a
So,
supermarket.
we
And we
have
have
to have
filled
24
this
That's
shopping
why.
basket.
Well,
So you
because
literally had
mine
a
look
bin of
exactly like
Ethernet
that, but
cards.
Yeah,
they
we
weigh about
really,
half that,
I
they
don't
don't
know,
have
not
the
a
steam
small
on
bin.
there.
And
But
the
they're,
whole
no,
place
the
is
ones we
like
got.
that. It was just like,
Wow.
all you see, all discarded, you know.
In fact, cheese.
You know which one
You're
has
so
the
sad.
bigger batteries in it?
Oh, I see.
I did not
Green
take,
or yellow?
I did not
didn't
take
make a note of
close
it.
look.
I need a test log.
No, we got we got it and figured out like 20,
I need to
11,
get a
12,
cup of
23,
coffee.
24.
I'm nodding
Had a
off.
couple of them. And it's like, oh,
All we
okay.
got is
But
tea.
yeah, so
Oh.
they were expensive, but cheap.
There's coffee way out.
I'd rather spend the money on something that I
They,
know.
they
I
removed it
wanna
after
put-
I
change
lunch.
the battery
So I may have to, I may have to resort to going
I'm
up
going
to
out
the
to that
room.
and see.
Those are
But I don't
recorded,
have
so
any-
it's this one?
Yeah.
You have real proof.
So the blue keys on the side, where the original F1 through 10 would have been on the
Take
18.
your break time there.
Are those special labels for some
I just
software?
got an email from Paul from this morning, I wanted to respond to. He, you know, he mentioned online that he had been dealing with some personal stuff. He's been diagnosed with clinical depression.
They're not like.
So he was telling me in his email, he's seeing a doctor now, and he's on some antidepressants. But one of the side effects of all of this is that he sort of lost interest in things that kept him busy before, like writing for.
You wanna
us
test that, or
or
Sorry?
as a-
you wanna just test that?
Okay, let's test it.
Yeah, well, he sent me a personal email this morning.
You went on?
Yeah.
Hello.
He
Hello.
wanted me to say hello to
Okay.
everyone, asked me how Warpstock was, but
I'm just gonna take, I
he
took
was
these out
telling
of a
me
mouse,
that
so I
was
wanna
the
bring it
diagnosis.
back.
We'll try the cable there.
He found out from his dad that his paternal grandfather also suffered from depression. And I know it's inherited because I got it from my mother.
Oh.
So, but, you know, he didn't sound bad in his email, but I made it very clear to him that what made a real difference to me with my last really bad bout of it was a friend of mine really took a personal interest, and he called me every single day. My buddy Steve, who went out to the
But you went to see the witch?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Okay, let me
Yeah.
start recording.
Right. I'm going to run a slideshow that I ran for the Vintage Computer Festival in San Jose in July, August, I guess, July 1st, August 1st. And you know, we just ran it continuously at our table. We had an Warpstock OS2 table at the show, and we were showing a few OS2 systems, but this was just what we would show and try to, you know, to draw people in. And, you know, it's not, there's no real, I'm not really showing you anything other than, you know, it's sort of fun to watch. So I'm just going to start it, and just feel free to break in with anything that looks interesting. Because, you know, this is, I just took slides. There's a lot of slides, and, you know, I'm going in chronological order. So, you know, I didn't run OS2 version 1, but it was kind of an interesting beginning to it. And I don't think I started till 1.2. But I was on VMS when this happened, and we were excited about OS2. Said, we hate DEC. We want to run this.
1.1 was the first one with presentation manager, right? 1.1.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it was called CP-DOS before it was called OS2. Yeah, we ran Microsoft Excel for OS2. When I started, everyone in OS2 had been trained at Microsoft. Solid.
Boy, some things haven't changed.
No. I never saw extended edition.
What was the extended edition? I don't remember that one.
It had all the additional parts, you know.
Oh, okay, all right.
DB, which was later called DB2.
Right. Yeah, right.
And something about land, like land
Yeah,
management.
right?
Some
And
land services.
UPM and all the other pieces were separate products. Oh, limited availability, so they would make their date.
I'm not sure, OS 2.0 was the first one with workplace shell with all the objects. of
Workplace
of
Shell,
that.
first 32-bit
Yeah, and
release.
30. Okay.
And the Beta was the first one to come in a CD. There were a lot of powerful applications, though, right at the start. Oh, yeah, C shell, or C tools, yeah. lot of my semiconductor work in that compiler, Borland C. I went over to Borland because they're neighbors, and they said they weren't interested in any of my patches for their product.
Shocked.
In fact, they didn't even remember they had an OS2 product. Oh, first one with the MMPM. I don't know if I've ever seen WordPerfect for OS2, but that eventually became WordPro, I guess. Describe.
A really nice guy in Australia sent me a copy of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, VXRX was really cool.
Yeah, I have that too, but I never really get into it.
That was when they were trying to get them warmed up to the warp.
Yep.
And it was the first time with SMP,
First
right?
one with SMP, right?
That's the-
Oh yeah, Object Desktop. You remember Brad Wardell and all, maker of
Yes, I have,
Object Desktop?
I read his articles, I follow him on Twitter or X.
And he was crazy man doing presentations. I'll
Yeah,
tell ya.
yeah, very good.
Okay, so that's why to the OS.
Yeah, that was my first experience too, was with the 3.0.
Mhm.
With all the floppies.
Yeah, it's like 19 or 21 floppies to install and that's without the bonus pack.
Yeah.
Wasn't that fun?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I was afraid to install off the original, so I made copies of them and installed from that.
Oh my God.
Well, you know, the not the boot disk, but most of the disks in that set are that XDF format.
Yeah.
So we actually we couldn't figure out how to image them. So he had to write a program to image them so we could have archival backups.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, if you had a earlier version of OS2 with the driver, it's
Right.
no problem.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There was like 2 machines or 3 machines that can run this, right?
Oh,
With Power PC, the Power
but
PC.
they made
processor.
quite a few copies of those
Yeah.
machines, and they were all over Silicon Valley. And, you know, we had that one meeting, we had like 800 people,
Oh.
developers for PowerPC at the meeting.
Wow.
Oddly enough, it was called Connect, but it didn't have any network drivers.
No, never.
Yes.
But I looked inside macOS System 7, and all the libraries have the same names as OS2.
Much better.
Yeah.
This was a product that I was never able to make it work workplace on demand.
I never had a copy to try, and
And
something hard.
even on these modern days, I say, okay, virtual machine for the web server, virtual machine for the
Yeah.
other thing, and never was able to make it work.
Uh-huh.
Is it a dramatically different setup than the LAN server Ripple?
Workplace on Demand was like a thing to boot the operating system from the network.
Right, right, but is
Yeah.
it substantially different than the Ripple server in LAN server?
And I'm not sure, I'm not good with LAN server.
Okay, we've got a lot of experience with LAN server,
Okay.
yeah, and unpacking and there's no like straightforward way to install LAN server. You have to
Yeah.
manually unpack the disks and put them on
Yeah.
off of one folder on the CD. But yeah, once it works, it's rock solid. Once it's
Okay.
running, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I shouldn't be surprised if it was just a clever installer over LAN server.
Probably.
But I don't know. PXE client boot.
So that's a difference then,
Mhm.
because LAN server uses the traditional NetBIOS boot ROM on your LAN card. If the workspace on demand allowed Pixie booting, that was something that LAN server could not do.
Yeah, well, according to the slide, it was only on version 2.
Okay.
eComStation.
Yeah, I didn't have a good number of slides for ECS 1.0. There's some unique things there that I missed.
I missed the first few minutes of this, but Argambo says, and I'm assuming it was something you were saying, SB16 with Mitsumi CD-ROM.
Oh, okay. I remember the CD-ROM.
As a reseller, we had a different name for Mitsumi.
Which was?
Mitsumi.
Oh, see, we used Shitsumi. We used Shitsumi. That was yeah. They weren't very popular.
No.
They were in
The recycler loved him, he was getting them all the time.
They were in the, couple floors above us in the World Trade Center.
Were they really?
Assuming they used to bow.
Sandra Aja, going back to one of those, says, I really miss that color design scheme from OS2 2.x.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, why don't we have a theme like that?
Let's get some enterprising volunteer to do it.
Wasn't there another licensee in between eComStation and OS2? Wasn't there somebody else that,
No.
No,
Before Serenity
that's what I was thinking.
licensed OS2 for
Oh, that
eComStation,
was Serenity.
Brad Wardell tried to work a deal with IBM for Stardock to do the next OS2, and for whatever reason, that deal never went through.
You mean to do a thing like you do? some of
Yeah,
the-
to do what would have been eComStation at that point, in between Warp 4 and eComStation, and IBM for whatever reason wouldn't go for the deal, and
They weren't as
Stardock got out of
charming.
the OS. I told everyone at ArcaOS I was going to work a deal with IBM, and several people said, "Oh, that's never going
Good luck.
to happen."
You don't want to
All right, thanks.
Hmm?
You don't want to They're really handy.
Well, I have to have
It's
one.
numbered.
Yeah, I have to have one in my business.
It was fun. It did attract a lot of people to the booth. I was surprised how many OS2
Yeah, it
users
was like
came
flying,
to
you
the
know,
booth.
beast of honey there.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Quite a few
That's
people came
neat.
by.
Yeah,
Some were
you
friendly.
think of the size of Warpstock, and I had 2-3 times that number of people at the table that said, we're all OS2 users, and a lot
Wow.
of stories. But I mean, you have to understand that at the Vintage Computer Festival, they had their best year ever, so they had like 4,000
That was a big
attendees.
show, that thing.
4,000 people?
Yeah,
Where was that?
at the Computer History Museum in San Jose. Well, actually, I guess it's in Mountain View, but it's very close to the town line, so.
Yeah, nice.
Wow.
Feels like it's in San Jose.
I didn't realize there were that many people there.
That,
And
it was
just
more
the
than.
number of exhibitors.
Oh,
There were a lot of interesting things.
it was,
There are
yeah.
a number of regional shows like that too now.
this is VCF West, there's one in LA, I don't remember what I guess they call it Southwest. There's one in Northwest in, I guess, Tacoma or Seattle. And there's East in New Jersey, which is where the OS2 museum stash is.
Yeah,
located.
Warpstock put on semi-permanent loan
Mhm.
a bunch of software and hardware to the museum. That's at the,
Yeah, what is it called?
You mean an existing?
at Computer Age, the Marconi
Yeah.
building.
You mean the radio?
Yeah,
Yeah.
in New Jersey, Info Age.
Info
Age.
Yeah.
And it was interesting when I delivered all of that equipment. You know, I had a Model 30 I dropped off, a Model 50.
Uh-huh.
I had the early laptop, not the one with the butterfly keyboard, but an earlier laptop than that. It was literally a Gothic night. We had a thunder and lightning storm. It was raining, and I pull up to this old dark building, and the lightning would go off, and it would illuminate the front of the building like it was something out of a movie. It was really, really weird, really weird. But yeah, it was a neat place. They were still in the process of renovating it and everything. So I literally brought everything in and kept it as dry as I could while I got myself soaked to the bone, and just sort of stacked it up there. I haven't been back, so I really need to get there and
It's
see
midway
what
on
they're
your
doing.
drive from Long Island to there.
Kind of, yeah.
You want your car to break down
Thank you. Thank you.
And there's a VCF in Chicago, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at that now.
Yeah. So.
Yeah,
And-
there's a there's a VCF West, VCF East, VCF Southeast,
Oh, Southeast? Where's that?
and,
Vietnam.
it happened June 20th.
Yeah.
It was fun then.
in
There was this-
Atlanta.
Atlanta.
There was a
Okay.
lady there with all these old ThinkPads, only IBM ThinkPads. She wouldn't, I offered her
Lenovo.
an older, she didn't want that.
Uh-huh.
It was made in China.
Well, they had a room full of the original shaped Macintoshes.
Mm.
Working.
Oh, there was a guy with that Xerox computer, I think it was.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That guy, he had like 3 big boxes.
That was a computer history
Running
museum.
that old, like a small talk interface or something.
Yeah.
From Park.
From
Right,
Park,
yeah, right.
Yeah, well, it's the OS2 museum, so they had a PDP-1 running.
Ah. And then there were those British guys. What was that stuff?
Oh, yeah, what was that called?
It started out as a
Ac-
little terminal in Britain for schools or something.
Yeah.
Sinclair?
Not Sinclair,
No.
Acorn?
Acorn, I think it was Acorn, yeah.
Oh,
But it evolved, it evolved into Raspberry.
Yeah.
That was the forerunner to
Yeah, yeah,
Raspberry.
Yeah.
And I think they're the guys that created the ARM spec or something, and then they
Uh-huh.
built a chip, and then they built these little things. Surprised you never tried those.
Yeah, it's not really, hasn't really been one of my, a Raspberry Pi?
Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah, it hasn't really been one of my things, but Howard Winter has gotten big into Raspberry Pi stuff.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
He's just in love with that little platform.
Runs Rails.
Yeah, exactly, it runs Rex and everything.
Yeah.
And if it runs Rex, what else do you need? I mean, let's face it.
Runs my seat.
As Ilya would have said back in the day, as long as I can run Perl, what else do I need?
Yeah, you need a gun to shoot yourself in the head. It's like the
Big
world.
box of Band-Aids to catch the bugs.
The language from masochists. Fuck, I couldn't believe it. People use that thing.
I like Perl.
We have a few minutes.
I
if
do,
you wanna-
I do.
I don't know if we wanna go straight to
But
your
like Perl
presentation
moves, the
or-
object is to boil your Perl
That's
down so
way-
it runs
that's
on
way-
one arm.
Oh, so you
10
can
minutes
just
left.
tattoo it on your arm.
So you can tattoo it on your arm, exactly.
Step aside.
Your presentation's already on
It's a
there.
class of languages called Rhino.
Curtis Jones says that VCF SoCal is in Orange County, California, or not Orange, California. VCF PNW is coming back to Seattle, and the InfoAge Center in Wall, New Jersey.
Wall, New Jersey.
Great place
That's
to
where the
visit, he
museum
says.
is.
Yeah,
Really?
InfoAge is in Wall, New Jersey.
They have to go visit your bosses.
I probably should, it's one of those things that's been on my,
What are these boxes?
Curtis helped us present the
Oops.
OS2 table.
Oops.
And,
Oh.
the image I have in my mind is I'll call InfoAge and I'll say, hi, I'm from Warpstock. A number of years ago, I dropped by some old IBM hardware and some OS2 things. Can you tell me where they are? Who are you again?
Yeah.
What stuff was this? So glad I got drenched. Because remember, I didn't take it there from my house. I drove to Mark Dodell's house and picked it up for him in Pennsylvania. And then drove it to Wall, New Jersey.
Isn't there a guy in Florida that does a collection also?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Robert.
The small top? He's the guy that did that small top?
Yeah, yeah.
And, it had been my collection, and he said, I'll
Yep.
actually, he paid a lot of money to transport it. I guess all media mail, but it's still,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
still a lot.
Robert was
Pointers and all that.
almost going to be here this trip.
Mhm.
But, for whatever reason, that didn't work. I just exchanged email with him like 10 days ago or something.
Oh, okay.
But,
Really, most of.
Yeah, so he has the,
Sex related. I probably don't use any commands.
to collect the OS2 Museum East.
I don't use 64.
It was west.
Florida.
It was west.
It was west, now it's east, so
South.
now it sounds like there's a couple of them.
Well,
South.
you know, he's moved to this sort of rural place in Florida, which we call the Alps.
Meaning it's above sea level?
It's going to be above sea level for some time, I think it's almost 80 feet.
Veterinarian.
Oh my God. You don't even need to build your house on stilts.
No, they'll be on an island way out.
Well,
but
it's
Yeah,
not a Google, it's a program.
They'll be gone by
There's a, I get into the whole thing, but there's a software package that's called that other people have written.
Oh, Congressman Jerry Nadler, SNAP guidance and resources. Should have had him here to talk.
Yeah, why is
You
this
know, is
all
there
everybody
any,
topics?
any connection?
They seem to be everywhere.
Any connection?
It has high level.
Jerry Nadler, the
C#
former 400-pound congressman.
He lost a lot of weight.
Well, he had it
He had
surgery.
bariatric
Yeah,
surgery.
he's had bariatric
He
surgery.
lives in my neighborhood. I used to see him at the diner and stuff.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
But yeah, he was certainly diminished.
Now he's just a deflated windbag.
He's retired, so, take it easy.
Has he actually retired, or is he going
He's,
to retire?
he's gonna end his term.
Yeah, that's what I thought,
So
yeah.
somebody
He
else.
hasn't left yet, and Mother Nancy has decided she's retiring.
Yeah.
And you
That's
have to listen, to
Don't think
your,
that's such good
your
news.
friend from, your friend from Georgia, Marjorie. She gave a nice, tribute to her.
Yeah.
She said, I wish our party could get that stuff done like
But
she did.
Well, I mean,
And
that, one thing.
I was so shocked.
Give the devil her due. The one thing about Nancy is that she was able to whip her party in to follow in line.
yeah.
Yeah, she was kind of like an LBJ tradition.
Yeah, exactly. She would, she would threaten them, if you don't go on this vote, then you're gonna lose that position that you've got.
Yeah.
And she would, rule over them with an iron fist.
She's 80, really twisted some arms. Yeah, 85
Yeah.
or.
So regardless of what I think of her politics, she was effective in that role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think her district is gonna take a big couple of left.
A bigger leap to the left.
Yeah, it was by comparison in local
She was like
politics.
an old-fashioned
A centrist.
Democrat.
I don't think it's gonna keep up.
Like a
It
big-
could. There's some movement to maybe keep it about where she was, but I don't know.
I don't know, man.
I don't know, and that's, I don't think that's necessarily a good thing.
No.
Those are all 32 minutes.
You need somebody who can sort of work with people, not make it even worse.
I'm assuming they are, even though I know most physical device drivers are 16 bits.
You mean you're gonna have kind of a Montani West?
Well, it's the snap
Yeah.
drivers for the 16 or 13 bit.
I mean, that seems likely.
Snap 16 or 32-bit?
Yeah.
Snap is 32-bit code as far as I know.
Is it?
David, you've built it, I haven't built it, so.
Yeah, it is.
Not entirely 32-bit, but it's mostly 32-bit.
Well, the main skeleton is, I don't know about the actual hardware drivers.
Right, right,
It could be whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, because I was confused, because I know I've actually wrote a quick device driver, a couple of years ago for OS2, just to access CMOS, just to test.
Mhm.
And everything I saw was all 16-bit, but there was talk about 32-bit device drivers that aren't VDDs, that I was like, well, I don't see any examples for it. But
Well,
I-
David has a toolkit
Oh, okay.
for doing just that thing.
Okay.
Oh, and you know what we need?
How do you feel about Wi-Fi driving?
We need something that senses the temperature of the CPU.
Actually, I was looking at that. I think somebody had done one, but it's a lot easier in OS2 to do it than it is Windows.
I'm not aware of anything that runs on modern hardware that senses temperature real time. Do you guys know of anything?
Yeah, there's a couple of widgets for the X Center that does that.
Yeah.
On new AMD processors? Really? Okay.
You have to check the widgets, see if they work.
Yeah, okay. I'll have to come through the widgets.
As long as it's reported.
Sorry, we may not need you at all.
You're fine.
Doug, not when I have a mouthful of coffee.
So we're on a break here?
You can always take the Bluetooth keyboard.
I actually started looking at.
I think we're just waiting for Martin to get up there and do so
You wanted
many
10
things.
minutes.
Because you can buy a
10 minutes
USB
is still got
dongle.
He's waiting for his time.
And I plugged it in, and I can query it, and I can actually find the dongle with USB.
I don't know if his mic is
and
working.
actually get it during our part to his, whatever that's called.
Yeah, exactly.
You mean that big mic there?
Yeah.
Well, we were,
Yeah, I hope that it's, I hope
I
that
didn't
it's.
realize.
It's not exactly standardized.
I actually appreciate you
Each-
both.
Each
I really
dongle
mean
has a
it.
different. Yeah.
Well,
It's not like USB.
to avoid
USB
getting
stick.
COVID,
At
I
least
wore
that's what I've been
15
kind of finding
masks.
out, but-
Yeah,
At once.
and you would peel one off every day.
I couldn't breathe, but I wore 15 masks. They tell you on the airplane, this really got me.
Require you here.
They're going through the whole thing about, first of all, they tell you, it's the 21st century, so they tell you how to fasten and unfasten a seatbelt.
You're gonna get job?
Good thing they got those instructions. Then they tell you,
Everything.
when you put on your
Then I might
oxygen
be able
mask,
to
if you're wearing
do
a
these
face
two
mask,
buttons.
you should
Okay,
remove
okay.
that first.
So you
Yeah,
have
for the
like
first time, they actually
C1,
included that.
And I thought,
C2,
if you're wearing a face
mine
mask,
is
getting oxygen is
the
probably the
speaker.
best.
and just these two buttons will.
If you've had that Kool-Aid,
Yeah.
I don't think the oxygen mask is gonna help.
Yeah, I'll still wear one in a
So-
very, very crowded.
So I
Does
will
this
send
send it
you-
to?
environment.
And the only
But
time
maybe
I
You're
heard
broadcasting?
Yeah, it's
The
broadcasting.
prior-
Okay, so you just
to-
need me to move, oh, I see.
Yeah, so I'm here and
the
then the
hogwash that we
screen.
were fed during the pandemic.
That's all.
The only
But
time
after
I
I
would wear
do the
one
initial change, I
was
probably.
when I would take Diane for her infusions
I mean,
at,
Cause
yeah,
this is at the
at
very
Sloan
beginning,
Kettering.
right?
Yeah.
And
then
if
once
I
you
felt
get
like I had the
back,
sniffles
you
coming
your
on.
beautiful
Mhm.
face.
Because
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
want to take a chance of
No, no,
infecting
that
anyone
makes
anyone else with
sense.
it.
When I changed the
But,
slide, you had to change.
You know, I never put a lot of
Oh,
stock
okay,
that it
okay.
was like
You had to change the
surgically sound. I wasn't gonna go in like Jerry Seinfeld and George and Kramer and pop my junior mints.
Oh.
You know, I wasn't gonna go into the operating theater
So we're
with
recording
really
now?
one of those
Yes,
silly
yes,
masks.
we're recording.
Guys, we're recording
I
now.
knew it wasn't.
Just in case. Okay,
Thanks
so
for the warning.
we're recording and we're streaming, yeah.
Not that we need this.
Yeah, right.
Okay, I'm Martin Iturbide from OS2 World. I'm the newsmaster of OS2 World, and I do stuff with OS2. Yeah,
Say your last name again?
it's in Spanish is Iturbide or Iturbide.
Okay.
Yeah,
The Turabita?
Iturbide with accent and Iturbide without accent.
Okay.
Yeah, my father said it was Iturbide, but history says it's Iturbide. Yeah, but okay, yeah. So first, I just want a little tribute to Bill Carr that I found out he passed away on 2019. He was the illustrator for the IBM Personal System magazine, and I have a little tribute to him on the OS2 World Wiki. And well, yeah, his daughter gave me like I contacted her daughter to say, oh, who's your father? And here I have a little page about him. I want a bio, and well, she told me he passed away, and I put his biography there on the wiki too. Okay, he was very nice illustrator for that magazine. Okay. So first of all, I want to talk about the OS2 World wiki. It's a web page, a wiki based on MediaWiki, which is the same one that uses the Wikipedia, and basically is my repository for OS2 general information. I put them articles, software information, manuals, graphics, everything I can put there. I just post it there, and some links to PDF and some links to some stuff. Okay. So it has everything that is not software development material, because that goes to a different wiki, that is the EDM2, okay? And I also use it like my personal log for open sourcing OS2 software. I usually post there on the top pages the tracking I do to people that tell me, yes, I can open it, contact me in 2 weeks, contact me next year. So I use like my personal log, also the software catalog. I put screenshots, I put information about software there, and also I have like some project like searching all OS2 software on shareware CD-ROMs. I also put my tracking there, just to don't search for an old. Sometimes I search inside a CD image, and I mark it that I searched it there because in 2 years I forgot about it, so I have like my personal tracking there. This is what I do on the OS2 World Wiki. And this year, like 3 weeks ago, somebody on Reddit scanned these 2 books about the OS2 World, a different conference, not related to the OS2 World site. This one. This was a conference that was on 94 and 95, and he scanned the 2 books that has like the presentations and some documentation of all the stuff that was on the conference. So
Where were those conferences?
What?
Where were they?
Where? Oh, this one was I don't remember. I think it's Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on 95, 94, I think it was also in Boston. That was a kind of conference that didn't move. Yeah, it's our competition, it's not Warpstock. It was not as cool as Warpstock, but well, at least we have now the material. Yeah, And yes, there are a lot of documentation that are still on paper only from the 90s, so it's very useful when something like this show up, and at least we can take a look at it. It has like the multimedia presentations, LAN service presentations, etc. Yeah, and I'm always looking for more material. I'm trying to find the courseware of developing the OS2 device drivers. I'm trying to find that old courses, but well, it's hard to get. Yeah. Okay. And this guy say I'm going to post it before Warpstock, so he posted there, and I think it was nice. It is nice just to show it to you. And also part of the stuff that I'm doing is trying to populate or reorganize the Hubs archive site. Okay, Hubs is our site for active OS2, ArcaOS, in eComStation file repository. It's active because you can upload things there. There are other repositories that are only historic. This one is like current one, so people that create or compile new things for OS2, they can upload it to Hubs. Okay, the site is managed by Nathan Woodruff. Yeah. And I took the initiative like some years ago to rename some files and given a more extensive description. Some like it, some not. Here's the one that didn't like it, but okay, what can we do? Let's agree to disagree, yeah?
So is this, that guy, Nathan?
Nathan, yeah.
He manages this, you don't manage it?
No, I don't manage the site. He created from scratch. He took the old Hubs and he created from scratch a website.
A new interface.
Yeah, all the interface. It's very similar, the colors, but it's a completely new site. Yeah.
But all the old files are in there?
Yeah, he made a script to grab the old file from Hubs, the descriptions, and he suck everything from Hubs and populate his database from that.
And is this the only copy of Hubs in existence, or is there more than one?
No, there are a lot. When Hubs said that it was going to shut down the site, everybody took a copy and put it on different sites. I took a copy and put it on the Internet Archive. There are a lot of other people took it and put it on textfiles.com and a few. There are a few copies.
Is this the definitive one? That's like crazy. It used to be only one, right?
Okay, but this is the only one active, where you can upload stuff.
The other is just
The other
copies.
just
Okay. All right.
is just like a historic archive, yeah, you cannot change anything, just stays there.
And this is the guy that likes to diss Smedley?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, is it a problem that somebody has an attitude like that? Yes.
Okay, well,
Just a question.
What was the size of the archive that you?
18 gigabytes.
18 gigabytes?
Zip.
Yeah, it's 18 gigabytes, the archive, yeah, 14, 18, yeah. Okay, and we also discussed on the OS2 World Forum the set of rules of what to include in Hubs archive and what not to include. These are the rules that we discussed. Hubs has freeware, shareware, open source, demos, public distribution, public domain, freely distributable files. That's the idea of Hubs. And Hubs should have the latest version of every OS2 software, based on the first rule. Exception applies for unstable versions, drivers, libraries, development software. Sometimes for libraries, you're required to have all the history. You have to have version 1.0, 1.1, 1.2. So Hubs sometimes have this, also all libraries, and also all drivers, because there are people that like to have ArcaOS on the latest hardware, and we find out there are people that are retro computing guys that like to have all hardware and all OS2 on their, they like that way, yeah? So that's why we also keep older version of the drivers, yeah? Sometimes some people say, oh, it's a waste of space to have the driver version 1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, but they're very small, small files, and it doesn't care. It doesn't matter as long as they are well documented. That this is 1.1, 1.2. This is older. This is newer. It's fine for the people. Yeah. And I also have like an upload in file naming convention that is completely optional, where I put the name. I forgot about the 8.3 files. This is a whatever 0.3, okay? So I have the name, like the version or date, and then if it's something special like an X11 file, what are named the X386 file, I put like this code or the language. If it's not English, usually I put like a JP for Japanese and for German, DE. So that's the optional naming convention. The important thing is that people upload stuff there, not the naming, so it's completely optional, okay? And I'm on the ongoing work of organizing and renaming a few old files that remains there, yeah? Usually now I'm missing something like fix packs, IBM fix packs and icons and little things, but I'm still renaming stuff from time to time, okay? And finding some application, utilities, and drivers that are missing in hubs, okay? There are a few things floating around. There are a few OS2 software floating around that I like to preserve there in hubs, okay? So to do that, I'm using my new friend, my new best friend, that is a website called Diskmaster, okay? Diskmaster showed up like 2 years ago on the internet. It's created by Jason Scott from Text Files. He likes to preserve software, and he has this website to see inside the ISO CD images that are archived on the Internet Archive. So he supports this way of searching inside the ISO, supports several OS2 files like OS2 installer files, inf files, DSK files, and it uses a project called DexVert that has like 3,000 file formats, okay? So with this tool, I'm searching inside inside the ISO and try to find all, this is more for retro guys or people that are looking for old stuff, right? So you can search for the driver file name, and well, if you find it, it will tell you which kind of file it is. It will show you an X view of the file right in the browser. And you can also open DSK files, and it will eventually show you what is inside a DSK file with all the description, and you can also click or you can download the DSK file, okay?
Could you back that up 2 slides, please?
The X view?
One before that.
Yeah.
All right, so that says if it's an MS-DOS or Windows or OS2 executable,
Yeah.
that's a driver. That's not an
Yeah.
executable.
No, well, a driver is it can be recognized an executable or not. It's a binary, it's a compile
It's in
binary
LX
file.
format, right?
Drivers, I don't know. Who would know that?
I don't know if the Etherlink driver was LX
Yeah.
format.
Right, that
But
would be 32
a .os2 that's a network driver.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's not perfect. Let's take it.
That was the disclaimer I
Yeah.
was waiting.
Yeah,
to
it's
hear.
not perfect.
So
Yeah.
you would suggest a new category,
I would suggest, isn't there one there that says?
device drivers or something?
Yeah,
No.
is there?
I-
OS2, see, DLLs are recognized separately, but I don't see one that
There's
says,
another OS2 executable
Right
down
below.
Let me see if I have another.
an OS2
Oh.
generic
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
executable.
Let me see if I have. No, this is the X view of the. of the
Should
same
be
file
also
because this is a
MX
driver.
format.
This program cannot run on
16
mouse.
bit would be MX format, wouldn't it? Same as DOS.
Let me
Yes.
check.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
interesting.
it supports the icon format. When you click it, you click on the icon and it gives you at least the images, so you don't have to download the stuff, open icon edit, and you can see it online there. Yeah. So what I'm doing, I forgot like a picture, but the good stuff is that you can search, just like you can search by the name of the driver, the file name of the driver, and it will list you all the old CD-ROMs, shareware CD-ROMs that has this driver, and you can see the dates and the size. So you can see, oh, this one is the same. Oh no, this one is different from 96, and you can go into the CD-ROM and you can try to download the file, the executable file or the zip file that contains that driver. So when we were discussing recently, some guy on OS2 World Forum that has a PCI Ethernet from Circom, yeah, I just searched for the driver name. Somebody say, I cannot find it. I searched for the driver name and I found two, well, I found like 7, but 6 was the same, so I found like 2 different drivers and say, okay, download this, and one worked. So it's kind of cool for all retro stuff to search on this new tool like 2 years ago. And if there is no like, if this master is missing a CD-ROM, you can suggest, you can put the link of the Internet Archive that has the CD-ROM, and they will add it to the catalog. So that's kind of fun that you can search for the name and try to find all the old stuff there. And when I find something that is not on hubs, I repackage it and upload it to hubs also to have it there.
You ever run into, I forget what site I was on today, os2site.com?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that seemed to have stuff on there that maybe shouldn't be there, like IBM CDs to install OS2. That kind of stuff, you ever run into
As far
that?
as I know, Ian got permission for anything that he
Yeah,
has on the site.
Is that his site?
Yeah.
OS2 site?
OS2 site is Ian Manners.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
He's from Australia, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but he
He's still
also
Mhm.
writes.
He is still-
He also wants
Yeah, there
like,
was some stuff on there that I couldn't find other places.
There
Yeah,
is
yeah.
stuff on OS2 site you can't find other places, yeah.
Guest 31 on IRC says, what is the URL for this discussion?
for this master.
Diskmaster.txtfiles.com.
I don't remember. I had to check it out. I think it's thismaster.textfiles.com or .org. Yeah, I should have put it
.com.
here. Yeah, I forgot
Yeah.
that. But
Diskmaster.textfiles.com.
okay, thismaster.textfiles.com.
Yeah.
Textfiles is a site from this guy Jason Scott who like to preserve a lot of stuff. Yeah.
But if you type in
Yeah.
Diskmaster to the search engine, the first hit will be this,
Yeah.
so.
So that's very cool to find old stuff inside OS2 shareware CDs, yeah. And the good thing is that we can post more shareware. So, what is? I don't remember why I put this here. Okay, so yes, also in EDM2. I'm also trying to document some of the drivers. EDM2 has the config.sys documentation project. So usually we have like the file name and we have no idea what it means. Louis, do you want to give it a try to see? Do you remember by memory what drivers are these were?
FME, NDIS, OS2, FME.
I have the answer on the next one,
Oh.
just in case. No?
I don't, FME, NDIS, OS2 looks familiar to me, but I can't place it.
Okay.
The other two I don't recognize.
The one that ends with 1S506 has gotta be an IDE driver. right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, yeah,
it's ID.
that's,
But
Yeah.
probably PTI is the
and the
initials.
bottom one is an IDE driver too for
Yeah.
VC
Oh,
local
okay.
bus.
The idea is try
Promise.
to document
Oh.
by the name of the driver, also has information on the ADM2 about what is it, and the syntax of the driver, and also the link to hubs. So I have ADM2 having the documentation of the file. So if you find the file name and you need more information, the idea is to go to ADM2, the configsys documentation project, and find the page of the file name driver and find more information about it, like the syntax, the parameters, and a link to hubs. So hubs is like linked also to ADM. And on hubs, when I'm renaming the drivers and I'm renaming the files, and also changing the description, I also try to include the name of the driver so it can be searchable on ADM2 and also in hubs, okay? So if you put the name of the driver on hubs, the idea is that I also search for the description. Also, the new hubs, the one made by Nathan, also search inside the description, so it also includes I try always to include the original name, the old name that I used to have, so you can be searched. If you remember by memory the old driver name of the zip file, you can also search for that name and it will show up. That didn't happen in the old hubs. This on the new hubs it works that way. So it's good, okay? So this is what I have been doing with the driver, no? And with the drivers and the projects. And talking about EDM2 have a hard end of 2024 and early 2025. PHP was required to get update on the server. This server is from NetLabs. It's managed by Adrian on Europe, somewhere in Europe. And he required to update PHP on the server. Why do you need to update PHP on the server? Because older PHP got insecure and got very prone to attacks. So it's like you feel forced to upgrade stuff on a web server, okay? So he upgraded PHP and he broke completely the old version of the MediaWiki installation. So early on this year, EDM2 was not working at all. And the MediaWiki upgrade was not straightforward. It was very, very hard.
Surprise.
You think eClog is bad to
Yeah,
operate?
right.
MediaWiki is just,
Oh my God.
it's terrible.
Yeah, at the end of February of this year, I was able to upgrade the wiki. And this was the trick to upgrade the wiki. So I had to grab like an old virtual machine and put there the old stuff, old PHP, old Apache, old MediaWiki script, and going from, yeah, this is from the older version 1.22 to the newer 1.43. I had to like try these jumps here on the circles, so I can say, okay, this is an old server. Once I get to version 127, I can upgrade it, MediaWiki, and then I can upgrade PHP and I can upgrade Apache until this other jump 130, and until the next jump 135, and until I get to the 142.
Did you have to modify the PHP code, or you just did it by leapfrog?
No, I didn't modify anything on PHP. I just upgraded PHP. So on this one, oh, I think I forgot. This one has like, this one has like the PHP versions. So on this part, MediaWiki was compatible with PHP 5 and PHP 7. So I had to upgrade to this level so I can upgrade to PHP 7. And then I need to go upgrading PHP and MediaWiki script. And when I get to this point, I just took a backup and sent it to Adrian to upgrade the server. I took a backup of the database and the files and tried to send it over to Adrian so he put it on the server. So basically it was not straightforward, and it took also some extra time from Adrian because he has MediaWiki connected to an LDAP server. So he needed to connect the stuff also, and so it took I finished this on the end of February, and he took like an extra month to connect
And
to
did
LDAP.
you ran the upgrade scripts? MediaWiki is a CMS, is that right?
Sorry?
MediaWiki is a
CMS, okay, so like.
It's a wiki.
So
yeah,
you,
yeah, it's a
like
CMS.
MediaWiki provided something to run an upgrade from 1 to 1.1 or something.
Well, it
And
provides.
did you run those upgrades?
Yeah, MediaWiki provided the old versions of MediaWiki. So I started in 1.22,
Uh-huh.
and I upgraded to 1.27.
You
So I
skipped-
grabbed the old installer of 1.27 and put it there. And then I grabbed the old installer of 1.30 and put it there. Well, and then it crashed, and I go back and I reset the virtual machine to start over when I crash it. So I said, okay, I'm not going to use this version because I crashed. I'm going to use this early version. So it was like, yeah, like tic-tac-toe. Yeah, trying to. But well, at the end we find a way. Yeah.
Was developed for Wikipedia.
Uh-huh.
That's the engine that runs Wikipedia.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was developed with Wikipedia in mind and then made available to everyone else to use. So
So it's kind of.
it's friendly for them, but it's not so friendly for everyone.
In general, right.
No, but I prefer MediaWiki before other kind of wikis. I use Drupal, I use some other stuff, and I say, let's try to get on MediaWiki because every wiki changed their markdown language, and I think people are more used to modify
Yeah,
Wikipedia.
it's definitely the standard.
Yeah.
But, you know, WordPress is the standard too, and that, it's not all that in a bag of chips.
Well, I use Joomla for OS2 World, and people say, change to WordPress, and say, no, I don't want to change. Let's move on. Let's just upgrade Joomla, and let's keep
Yeah,
going.
Joomla has its bright points.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But the issue here is, the lesson learned here is, do not stay with an older version too much. You have to move forward.
What do you think, Louis?
On the other side, yeah. But on the other side, we have to check that moving forward doesn't break on our browser. Yeah?
Exactly.
Because if Double is not able to read EDM2, it's not worth it. So that's the other issue. We cannot also just upgrade to the latest version because we have to check with our browsers. Yeah? So.
I mean, I've been working on the
Geek Book, yeah.
Warpstock website for a couple of years here. It's a really complicated problem doing this because, what did I do? Oh, I tried to run the current version of Geeklog that's used on the website on the most recent PHP. And that was an adventure in, finding classes of errors, fixing them, run it again, and finally I got the thing working as a shell, like with no real content. Then I dropped the real website into it, so I'm back to going through that again, and I'm at the point where I can't send an email, which I think that's pretty good. I have to get it to send an email, and it did come up.
No?
It did come up, actually.
Okay.
But it's a headache.
Yeah, no, this one also a headache, but the good thing is that I did it on a virtual machine. So when I broke it, I returned to the latest work.
Yeah, that's
snapshot.
I have it on this box on a VM.
Yeah.
And I have it at home on a couple of computers with different versions, and I can bring different ones up. That makes it a little easier.
Yeah. No, Geeklog is like a different monster, and I think you have like an extra problem is that your server is OS2. The server is ArcaOS,
Well,
right?
I
So-
Not what
initially,
Dave is working on now.
I know.
I initially thought that
Okay.
was a problem, but I play ball here.
Okay.
And I run the database on an Ubuntu box.
Okay.
Because that eliminates that headache.
Yeah.
Because, by the way, MySQL 5 is very old.
Yeah.
8 is the current version. I checked that out after you said that the other day.
8 is the
MySQL
latest
Server
version.
8.
Okay.
So that's,
I have to see what the latest build that Paul did. I think it's probably, I think he did a 7. I have
Yeah.
a 7 something.
anyway,
Yeah.
you run one of your CMS database servers on something other than OS2, I believe, right?
The database?
Yeah.
I
One
run
that
the-
services the CMS.
I don't run MySQL on OS2 at all.
Okay.
So I run one version of MySQL on NetWare 6.5,
Mhm.
and I run another version, a newer version of MySQL on OpenSUSE.
Okay, so I did similar then. I did it on Ubuntu. Runs fine, no problems ever. It has a nice GUI front end and everything, so you don't have to worry about that.
I think that the version I'm running
Syntax
on
problems.
MySQL on OpenSUSE is 5.7. No. It's gotta be a 7 version.
Yeah, I ran the version command and it's 8 on MySQL. On the
Ubuntu
that
yeah.
I'm using.
I haven't updated mine in a while, but it's.
Well, but the good news is like EDM2 is now back in business, and we can keep like improving the site. Yeah. The other stuff I've been doing on EDM2 is trying to complete the OS2 API documentation project. Okay. So the goal of the API documentation project is to document all the OS2 API in a wiki and web format. Why, if we already have the INF files? Well, the issue is that the INF file is not like a common file format outside the OS2 community, and web pages can be indexed for search. So we search in Google. Yes, INF files are not going to show; they're going to show only web pages. Okay, and on a wiki format, we can link pages, update information, create pages with personal tips and comment about the API. So trying to extend more the knowledge of the API that we have. This is the page of the API project where we have like the kernel libraries, presentation manager, the graphic programming interface, SOM, SOM, and the multimedia, Dive, Dart, OpenGL, that is, well, quite old. But we have here the libraries that you can surf and search for each function of the library. Okay, and well, we got permission, we got IBM permission to republish the API documentation of the EDM2 and the Internet Archive. And it was very long procedure to convert all the functions from INF files, HTML, and to MediaWiki, to Markdown. And I'm still missing a lot of information, and AI was helping me to convert the format. Yeah. So just to let you know, this is the steps that I use that helps me to migrate to MediaWiki or Markdown format with AI. So I start to teach AI how do I want the output of the transform page, and it's also very good to have like a good prompt. So first I grab like how I like the MediaWiki format. I use, for example, Win initialize. I grab the format that says the description first, the syntax, the parameters, how I like the parameters, like with put a semicolon first and all the stuff that I like, and I throw it to the AI. And with the prompt that I want to transform text from IPF format, the format that is like the source code of the INF files, just to put in a name. So I want to transform the text for IPF format to MediaWiki layout. This is the layout that I like, and I copy this layout. And I say, please remember. Why I say please to the AI? Because there are rumors that when the AI is going to search and hunt for all of us, people that are polite to the AI are going to be safe. That's why I put please.
There are also claims that it costs them $1 million,
Yeah.
millions of dollars to process additional, polite
Yeah, but
remarks. Yeah, I mean,
No problem.
yeah. So that's why I say
They
please.
ask you not to do that
No.
because of that.
I had to put please just in case.
Admissions from
Right. That's the topic.
Okay, so I'm using on this. Well, I use Gemini and I use Grok. So I put this. This is an example.
Grok? Is that the what's his name?
Yeah.
Grok? No, Grok is the AI from from X, from Elon Musk.
It's Elon Musk.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're gonna have Nazi propaganda in there now? Oh my God!
That's
why
why-
would you use that?
that's why we use
Haven't you
it
read
here
about
too.
what he does with that thing? Oh.
Well, if,
my
it's,
God.
well, it's working for me with Grok, but no, I haven't seen any Nazi propaganda yet. And yes, and yeah, Grok just replied me, okay, below that he acknowledged to grab this text. So later, I just go to the APF file, and I have like a trained eye to see where the function starts and when the function ends. So I copy this stuff from the IPF file and send it over to Grok or Gemini. And I used to say, convert to media wiki layout that I asked. I told him to please remember the layout. Now I'm telling, convert to the media wiki layout that I asked you to remember. Put the source code between, how you call it, pre?
Yeah.
Yeah, so HTML pre. Reference to images, just in case I have a reference to an image. Change them from BMP to PNG, because sometimes I put HTML and stuff. Do not invent anything new. That's very important. So I'm only using to transform text, not to invent anything, or I don't want them to hallucinate and say, oh, I don't have like the parameters, so I'm going to invent which parameters does this function use. So that's very important to say, do not invent anything new.
Oh, check out this
Just-
API. I didn't know about this one.
Just convert the same text, give me the output in a snippet code format so I can copy it. It's a format that the AI to have. And I copy that IPF text to the AI tool like Grok or Gemini. I
Now,
copy
do
it and
you
then
run it through both of the, I wouldn't call the first one an AI tool, but Gemini? Do you
What?
compare the results and take a vote, or what, how do you do
Well,
it?
yeah, they work. They are just transform the text. They don't invent anything new, just to have like, usually, they don't invent anything new, they just transform it from IPF. I'm just using the tool, like a tool, to transform text.
But I'm just curious, why two of them? Why not one?
Oh no! When Grok blocked me for using the free account, I changed to Gemini, and when Gemini blocked me for not having credits, I use Grok. So it's like the same stuff, yeah. And then Grok just replied me to this function opens the clipboard. It's just moving text there, and give me like all the stuff in the format that I like for
Now,
media.
isn't there a documentation about the internal IPF format, or is that a mystery?
No, there is a document about
So
the
you could write
IPF.
something just to pull all this junk out of there and
Yeah.
reformat it, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know how, but Grok understands the
Where's the
IPF format.
format documented?
I-
Do you have
It's
any
in,
idea?
yeah, it's in a PDF.
IBM documentation.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
toolkit,
it's on
yeah.
on the toolkit. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, on the
So
toolkit
you
has
should be
the.
able to write something that would
And
read
now,
it.
where did you get IPF? Did you just decompile INF?
Yeah, I
Okay.
decompiled the INF. You suggest me
I have
that
no idea.
Yeah.
when I was discussing on the forum, saying
Okay.
why do you go directly to the source? Do not grab from the website.
What's that?
So go to the source and go to the APF file and send it over there.
What was
If you
that?
have an INF file, I think you can now decompile that into an IPF with the help.
With new view, you can
What's
decompile.
IPF?
It's like the source code of an
Information
info.
presentation
Yeah.
format.
It's the source code for
The
INF.
source code for native OS2 help files and information documents.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So
But
then
it's
you
very.
can just read that source code.
Yeah.
Produce this stuff.
We have
Shouldn't be that
other
hard.
stuff that decompiles compiled IPF, but it does some of it does a better job than others.
Okay.
So basically, I take the answer and put it on the ADM2 wiki.
Yeah.
That only just save me a lot of time of trying to convert the text, like, and putting the semicolon and colons and all the stuff that I like, how to standardize the format on ADM2.
Why not use inf to HTML?
Because I need to put it on the wiki, and HTML on the wiki, it works, but it's not markdown format.
But is the HTML that thing you produce reasonable?
Inf to HTML is the standard way we used to publish those compiled documents on the net for people to
Yeah,
read.
but it's not perfect. It's not also good. Sometimes, for example, you have like the return, and he puts like the true over. I don't know.
The formatting is
the
not.
formatting is not right.
Yeah.
So if I copy paste that.
So you
it's
find
not-
that this formatting is better than the other tools that are available for
Yeah,
decompiling IPM?
for MediaWiki, yes. For Wiki Markdown format, yes.
And do you give it the entire document or one API call at a time?
I'm since every function has its page, I'm going to function by function.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I'm going one by one, but at least it's not manually like putting all the semicolons, putting all the.
I would give it the whole book and then at the end of my query say, and choke on this.
Choke on-
That would be for Grok.
Yeah, for Grok.
You really have a thing against Grok.
Die, Elon. Put that at the end.
Come on.
Well, I
And
think
that's
it's
all
wrong
that.
about
That's all that I wanted to show.
That we initialized, I was just looking at that, and it's like, I think that's not right, but I'm pretty sure the original documentation from IBM is kind of misleading too.
That there are lots of misleading things, and I'm not disparaging IBM.
Yeah.
There are lots of misleading things in IBM documentation.
That's why I wanted to put it on the wiki, so we can. We can have like some other contrast and say, okay, here's a personal comment from Lars saying that this function should be worked this other way. I try to put it that way when we discuss.
Can you edit it? Can somebody get on and edit it?
Yes, there are
like a
some
wiki?
on the not public, but there are some users, not anonymous users
You
with
could
last name.
request permission.
Yeah.
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 If I knew the guy, right?
There's a discussion page.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know the guy who
Slow.
knows the guy.
Yeah.
Ah.
We can request access to NetLabs to have access to the wiki. But
I'm just curious. I don't-
yeah, but
I don't
usually
remember
there are not a lot of people asking for that access, and we usually say, okay, who are you? Because we're not just letting anyone touch the wiki, okay? So if it's a person with first name, last name, and we know him on the community, yes, they can help us with that.
You try to compile compile a stub code with the API to make sure it's true.
Well, if it's not true, it is not true, is the sample from IBM.
No, but I mean
Yeah.
just to know.
No, I haven't tried to
Okay.
compile the samples, but well, it's the same one from the IBM documentation. But if someone wants to compile the sample, say, oh, it's not working now, I'm adding this stuff and this stuff, we can update the wiki and.
I mean, the
put
headers
the
have all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
This
So.
is a very slow site. Ooh-wee.
Yeah, I don't know. Lately,
Oh, there we go.
And the server is on Europe, just like OS2 World.
Yeah.
And OS2 World is faster. I don't know what is going
Yeah.
on.
Is
with it.
Grok going
Yeah.
on?
Yeah, Grok is putting some source code there.
There's no discussion.
Grok just give me text, so we only put text there. It's not
By the way,
nothing.
thank you for EM too. I could never have figured out the OS2 API.
Yeah,
so that was-
exactly.
It was very useful. It is very useful.
Thanks, and yeah, it's. But it was a long time to have like the API there, and there are a lot of stuff missing. Warply shell is missing. System object model is missing also. But well, let's go little by little and see what can what happens from there. So I want to thank all my sponsors for helping me with my Warpstock trip. And if you have any question, please just contact me on this email. Okay? That's all. Thanks.
Yeah, great work.
Thank you for your presentation.
When initialized changed between warp 3 and warp 4.
Oh, really?
And it was.
And I always put this at the
It
end.
broke a lot.
Wow, that they would change something like that.
In PM, this is the first call to the program.
I know.
Hey, there's your
And it's
missing
only
age.
got one.
Yeah.
That's good.
What kind of change?
Earlier
It
there was
only
a,
has one parameter.
Wheaton doesn't have an H, does it?
We didn't have what?
I said Wheaton doesn't have an H in it.
An
Yeah,
H
he
on
doesn't
what?
have an H in
And
his.
what was it?
Will.
Missing from Hershey.
There was an H missing from Hershey before.
So there's just missing the H.
Now we know what happens when the H.
Yeah.
Trying to escape.
But
What we got there?
Uh-huh.
you know, there were several.
You could run it multiple times to get different values back.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and so, and people just assume.
And here I am, taking great pains not